4. Morning everyone, my name is Audrey. I'm Stitchywitch42 here on flosstube and over on Instagram, and this is my channel about cross-stitch, life, the universe, and everything. I've got a lot to share. I have a video that I'm going to include inside this video. You'll want to keep an eye out for that because it was fun. I thought it was fun. I hope you think it's fun. But I'm including it. So anyway, today is Monday, the 15th of September 2025. And we're going to start with life like I have been. Update on my chemo sessions. Tomorrow is infusion number 11 of 12. I have 2 left to go. And I have to stress that because last Friday I got a voice message from OHSU from a scheduler to let me know that she had scheduled all the rest of my chemo sessions through December. No. So I went on to my chart and I looked, and sure enough, she's got chemo sessions in October and November and December, and I said no. And I called the number back and I got a different scheduler, obviously. Or maybe not so obviously, but you know, I got a different person. And I explained who I was and why I was calling, and I said my last chemo session is September 30th. And she goes, okay. She made me verify my name and my birthday again. And she goes, so let me get it straight. You're saying your last session is September 30th and you don't need these appointments after that. And I said, that is correct. And she goes, I will pass this on to your provider and let them know. And I said, okay. The thing of it is, when I went in for my last infusion, I actually saw Dr. K, who is the leading oncologist at OHSU. He's the one who is the lead of my team. And we were talking about things. And one of the things that we talked about was that September 30th would be my last session. He brought that up. Starting a month after that, I will start going in for a CT scan every 3 months for the next 5 years. And that's just so that they can keep checking up on me and making sure that everything's okay. So no, I am not doing chemo through December. I went in yesterday and checked my chart, and those appointments are still there. When I go in tomorrow and I talk with one of Dr. K's minions, I will have them look into it and make sure that they get deleted because I'm not doing it. That's all there is to it. But anyway, when I was there, we talked with Dr. K, and we talked about the neuropathy in my hands. This was caused by the first of the 3 infusions that I get, the oxaliplatin. And he said it could take a while, but it should reverse itself. I've talked with people and they made the comment that it could take up to a couple of years. I'm really hoping for less because right now it's making it very difficult for me to stitch. And I love to stitch. And I have a channel about cross-stitching. And if I can't stitch, well, what am I supposed to do? I've got all these patterns that need to be stitched. It'll go away. Excuse me, belching. The other thing that I've noticed is my feet. I'm starting to notice more of the neuropathy feelings down there. Mostly, to this point, it's just been feeling cold. Now, I don't know how to describe it, but throughout the day, it's already happened a couple of times today. It doesn't matter whether I'm walking, standing, sitting, whatever. I get this feeling of whoosh, that goes through my ankles to my feet. I don't know what it is. It doesn't hurt. It's just something new. Something to talk to the minion about tomorrow. I don't know if they'd appreciate me calling them minions, but there you go. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is diabetes 1.5. Having part of my pancreas removed, I am now diabetic, and I will be taking insulin for the rest of my life. I take both a long-term insulin. I take that one shot every night at 9 p.m. before I go to bed. And currently, while I'm going through chemo, on the days that I take the steroids, days 2, 3, and 4, I take short-term insulin before breakfast, before lunch, before dinner. I now have a Freestyle Libre 3 sensor. I've got my little patch on this arm. They rotate, wear them for 2 weeks. And so I record my blood sugars every day. And when I first started using this sensor, I freak out because when it hits 250, it gives an alarm saying that my blood sugar is spiking. I'm finding out this is normal. I start in a good range, I have something to eat, my blood sugars go up, I may or may not get the alarm, and then they drop back down again, and I check it before I eat, and I'm learning that I have this kind of curve that I do throughout the day, but it stays within a certain range. And I see what's the blood sugar doctor? The endocrinologist? No, I think that's the word. I see her in like the first week of October. And I will talk to her about all my numbers and using the sensor and how this works, and she'll let me know what I'm doing. But when I first got this sensor and it was hitting that spike, I was freaking out because I didn't know what to do. But keeping numbers, bookkeeper that I've been, keeping the numbers, looking at the daily log on this, I'm realizing that this kind of wavy spike throughout the day is normal for me. Can it be better? I'll find out. We'll go from there. Done with that stuff. Don't want to talk about it anymore. Okay. Last time when you visited with me, and thank you for coming and visiting with me. If you're new, thank you for checking me out. I hope you will like and subscribe to my channel because I love new subscribers. And I've gotten a few these last couple of weeks. But anyway, last week my game plan was that when I went up to OHSU the next day, I wanted to finish Medicine and Poison by the Witchy Stitcher. This has been my journey piece for going through chemo and for dealing with all of this year. And I stitched mine on 18 count perforated paper that I had sprayed with Tim Holtz Distress Sprays, and I finished it up at OHSU. It is the only time that I've taken stitching with me, but I have it finished, and I've got it here in my journal. It's just sitting on a page, so I'm going to see if I can hold it up without dropping things. But there you are. There is the complete finished piece, and it is ready to go in my journal. Now, one of the reasons why I did it on perforated paper is because I wanted to cut around the edges like you would a mill hill kit. And if you look at it, you can see that I kind of did that a little bit more loosely than you would with a mill hill kit, but still I went around and I cut the edges. And then I took it upstairs and I took another distress ink. This time it is Scorched Timber, and I went around all the edges, which kind of gives it a look like the page has been burnt, I love the way this turned out. And now that I have this done, I am starting to work on the actual page that it's going to go in. And I have been thinking about this for months. How I wanted this page to look. And I've been collecting things and I have ideas. I just haven't started working on any of them. But my plan is to start doing that maybe this week as I feel up to it. But one of the things that I wanted to do is I wanted to include comments from you. Throughout this journey, I've had so many wonderful comments. People telling me that they pray for me, that they are inspired by me sharing my story, by whatever the comment may be. There have been so many of them, and I appreciate each and every one of them. So what I did yesterday morning, on the page I'm going to be working on, I wrote down as many comments as I could. These won't be the only ones that I will include because I'm hoping to have tuck spots that I can write other comments and stick them into my finished page. I know that a lot of this will be covered, but that's okay because you'll still be able to see some of it around what I'm planning to do in this journal. And even if I can't read them all, I have them on my YouTube and I can go back and I can read them anytime I'm feeling down or just need a virtual hug from you. So, this is in my revamped journal that was the very first video I ever shared. It's been 8 years, people. I just got a notification from YouTube earlier this week that I'm celebrating my 8th anniversary on YouTube. Wow. 8 years. Anyway, it's going in my journal. I can start working on it now. I've got a pile of stuff in the kitchen waiting for the creativity to start. Okay, projects. I have worked on a few projects. Don't fall down. You don't have to be pushy. So I pulled out this one pattern. This had been gifted to me a while back from Cheryl, A Maker's Life, one half of Stitching with the Sisterlies. It is a Letistitch. It's called Trick or Treat, and it was a full kit. So there's that. And if you look at this pattern, up around the top of it, there is all this very subtle shading. Those are all half stitches. I have been working on them, and there's a lot of them. And the fabric that they included in the kit is an oatmeal Aida. So when I'm stitching on these, I have to have the light on them because the floss colors that they use are blending with the background. Yet at the same time, when I look at it, I can see it. But this is going to be really hard to see, so you want to... Let's get up there. All around the bat is the half stitches that I have done. And there's 3 or 4 different colors, and they blend with this fabric. If I had realized that, I think I would have chosen a different... I have a ton of Aida upstairs. I could have chosen a different background color, but I didn't know, and I've got this much done on it. I'm not going to restart it. I love this pattern. I love the design. I don't think I'm going to do the Happy Halloween Trick or Treat on the top of it. I think I want to leave that off because I actually got ambitious enough to redo my sideboard, and you may see a video of that, or may have seen a video of that at the beginning of this. I had gone up like 2 weeks ago and pulled stuff from the library that I wanted to bring down, and that was as far as it got. And then a couple of days ago, I took stuff off the sideboard and I set it at the foot of the stairs, and that's as far as it got. Short bursts of energy, but I finally got an autumnal setting on my sideboard, and I'm just so pleased with myself for getting that done. In that little video, there is a pumpkin canister at the end of it with some blue sunflowers in it. I picked that up Saturday when we went up to Bauman Farms to do some vegetable shopping up there, because they have, you know, the whole area where they've got Halloween and they've got autumnal and they've got Christmas. And I saw a lady with one in the parking lot, and I was like, oh, I need to have that. And then I walked inside and completely forgot all about it. And I'm looking at everything and I thought, oh, I'm not going to get anything. And I walked around the corner and I saw one there on the floor, and I was like, oh, yes, I'm going to get something. Because the woman in the parking lot enabled me to get it. And the brain actually remembered once I saw it. Yeah. So it's cute. And when Halloween is over, I don't want to think about that. I'm going to leave it there. I'm just going to turn it around backwards so that you don't see the jack-o'-lantern face. Because that's how I decorate. So I worked on that one. I also managed to work on my granddaughter's piece. This is the Mill Hill Kit First Responders. The EMT Santa. She has completed her class. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. She has completed her class. She now needs to take a national test, and then on September 29th she will be starting her EMT course at Chemeketa College. And so I did some more of the dog. This is the one where I really noticed that my fingers are hurting with the needles. Because if you've ever stitched on perforated paper, you know that when you get to the back and you're going to run the thread underneath it to, if you're like me and you run the thread underneath your stitches to tie them off, I can't pull the needle through those threads. So I have to use my surgical clamps to do it, because I just have no feeling and no strength in my fingertips. And I so hope it will come back. Everybody says it will. It'll just take time. So, we're going with that. Then, I decided to pull out another piece that I haven't stitched on for a little bit. I've got my basket down here with all my current projects in it, and I try to rotate through them and stitch something different each time. Whether or not that works, I don't know. But this is my first Teresa, no, it's my second Teresa Kogut pattern, because I did one of the Santas. One of the ones that she did on perforated paper, I started it on perforated paper, decided I didn't like it, and restitched it on fabric, and it's finished. And it's upstairs in my to be finished box. I have an idea for it. But anyway, this is Stitcher's Strawberries. I saw that Lori Textilist had finished this, and it was like, I need to stitch that because I have the book. It's her Hello Spring book. So I pulled it out and I got some stitching done on it, and I'm finished with the dark red on this strawberry. I need to do the lighter red. I came over here to work on this strawberry, and what I want to do is I want to work down this side and then go over and do the scissors and the vase so that I know where to stop the stems, because I don't want to count. I want to be lazy. It works for me. It works for me. Alrighty. So, last Wednesday, I got to have a video chat with a friend of mine that I've known for 8 years because we met through flosstube. She's also been doing her videos for about 8 years, and you probably know who she is. Her name is Helen D. And I watch every single one of her videos, and we've talked multiple times, and we chat back and forth through Instagram. And we finally got around to doing a video chat. We've done them before, it's just been a while. But one of the things that we talked about, if you watched her videos, you saw that she had bought a little not a vampire, a little coffin, a little coffin-shaped piece from Michael's. And I went to Michael's not too long ago with Mark, and I found that same one. In hers, she had a witch that she cut down to shape the inside of the coffin. I had an idea, and I got this idea because I also do some paper crafting, that maybe a way to make a template for an odd-shaped piece would be to trace it. So, what I showed her, and what I'm going to show you, is this is the back of the coffin-shaped piece, and I'm showing you the back because this is what you need to know. I took a piece of graph paper and I just laid it down here at the bottom, and like a present, I wrapped these around and taped them, and then I wrapped these around and taped them, and I wrapped that around and taped them so that my paper would be secure. And then what I did is I took a piece of chalk and I felt with my finger, as much as I can feel with my finger, the inside edge, and ran a chalk line all around the inside edge. Is this 100% accurate? Probably not. But when I cut this paper out, it's going to give me a template that I can try to fit inside this piece and see if it works. And then I can cut out my mat board to finish a stitched piece on so that it'll fit inside my coffin. And I'm thinking there's a Dracula one in the Witchy Stitcher's book. I think it's on red fabric. I have some red fabric upstairs. I have to do math and stuff and figure out whether that piece would fit in here or not. But I just wanted to share this with you. If you have an odd-shaped piece and you're trying to fit the inside dimensions, maybe something like this will help you. Just tape your piece on, make it kind of tight, and then feel the inside of it and take chalk or crayon or whatever and just make your template, and then you can stitch. Then you can stitch. Okay. I told you at the beginning that I was going to share a video within this video of something that I did this week. And I want to stress ahead of time that I did this with permission from the owner of Acorns and Threads. This past weekend was Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit. I have been going to Jeannine's retreats. They used to be called Fall Fling. I know I went in 2018 and 2019. 2020 was the pandemic. There was no retreat. That was supposed to be the first Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit. 2021 was a Zoom retreat. So I've been to Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit in 22, 23, and 24. And because of chemo and not knowing how I would feel, I have not done any retreats this year. But if you watch my shorts, you know that Cheryl, A Maker's Lives, one half of Stitching with the Sisterlies, Anna, Stitch Roadies, Quilt Roadies, and Jeannine, the owner of Acorns and Threads, we are friends, and the four of us get together occasionally to stitch. We've also done some video chats. A while back, it was just Cheryl, Jeannine, and I that were doing a video chat, and I asked her, I said, you know, I'll understand if you say no, but can I gate crash Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit? And she thought about it, and, you know, extenuating circumstances. This is not something she would normally agree to. It's not something that I would suggest that other people do, because gate crashing a Stitch Summit or any retreat is just wrong, because it is. But she said yes. And that made me feel so good that I might be able to stop by for a short period of time. I talked with her again not too long ago when I had called Acorns and Threads, and she happened to answer the phone. And I said, is it still okay with you if I come up and gate crash Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit? And she said, yes, you can do that. So I did. And I'm going to insert the video here, and then I'm going to come back to you after, and we're going to talk some more. Morning everyone, my name is Audrey. I'm Stitchywitch42 here on flosstube and over on Instagram. This is my Uber driver, Mark. He says I have to pay him for being on my videos, so I owe him $0.25. But I told him he's getting free lunch because we're on a mission. This weekend is Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit, and we're gate crashing. The revving of the engine was Mark speeding, but we're not telling anybody that. So see you in a bit when I show you that we're up at Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit. This is my partner in crime. She's known that I was coming up here for a couple of months, but nobody else did. Welcome to Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit.
Because I was in this very sort of rarefied tailoring world, everything had to be perfect. And I always worked in this very perfectionistic climate. And I remember when I got my first Instagram account, I didn't know where the buttons were. I didn't even know what you're supposed to do. I didn't have Instagram.
It keeps being more and more stuff. Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, the mascara one. I thought you were talking about the product. Oh no, the mascara one.
And we thought it was really more haven't seen it come out yet.
So Saturday morning, Mark and I headed up to the Marriott where the Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit is held. And I recorded that little blurb in the car. I've never tried recording like that before, but I figured what the heck, we're going to try it this time because I wanted to share this. Again, I had permission to do this from the shop owner, and if she had said no, I would have respected that, and I wouldn't have done it. I want to stress that very much. Do not gate crash or retreat unless you specifically have permission from the person who is putting it on. I did. So I walked into this room full of people. They're in a different room this year because she opened it up to more people to come to the live version. There's also a Zoom version. And I walked in there and the hugs started. People saw me, came up to me, gave me so many hugs, so much love. It was the absolute best. The designers that were up there this year were Gigi Rivas, the artsy housewife, and oh, where did I write my note? On the last page. Krista West of Avalia Folk Embroidery. The little blurb in the middle of that video was Gigi interviewing Krista about her experiences. I've met Gigi before, sat with her at the table last year, and when we went out to lunch, I kind of latched onto her husband's arm because I was really, really shaking Saturday. No energy. I mean, I had energy, my body just doesn't know it. But being up and moving around as much as I did, I was really, really shaky. So I kind of latched onto his shoulder and was talking with him, and pretty soon he moved my arm down, so I was holding on to his elbow. And we chatted all the way into the line for lunch and chatted with them some more. Again, met up with Anna and Cheryl's sister Chris, and sat and had lunch with them. And then went back to the room, and the last little bit of video, I asked Mark to record the brag table, and he did it sideways. So that's his fault, but that means I don't have to pay him the quarter for talking about him in my videos, which is a new thing to him. Because he's weird. But one of the people who was up at Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit was Tracy Horner from Ink Circles. I think Tracy has been there. She was one of the designers in 2023, and I know she was there last year, but I don't know if she was there ahead of time or before 2023. Anyway, I got to stop and chat with her for a little bit because another piece that I'm stitching is one of her designs. It was the piece that we got from her for Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit 2023. It is this one, The Forest for the Trees. I told her, I was telling her that normally when it comes to the pieces that we get at retreats, I don't stitch them because they're not my style. But I'd been cleaning up the library and this piece was sitting on my table and I looked at it and I really liked the colors in it. And I put it back down on the table, and then I went up and I picked it up and I went and put it away. And then the next morning I picked it up. I went back upstairs and got it because I'd been thinking about it all night. And I got it started. And this is where I'm at with the forest for the trees. I love the colors in this. I love the color of the fabric. It's called Atypical by somebody. I'll leave it in my notes below because I don't remember who. I mentioned it in my last one. But this morning, I was stitching on it. And right here in this area, I added an extra stitch in length. because this little dark color here didn't line up the way it was supposed to. And I had already stitched the whole thing down. And I thought to myself, I'm not going to unpick it. I'm just going to adapt. Well, then I went back and I looked at this, and all the bottoms and the sides and the tops, they're all even. And I thought, ooh, that means I'm going to have to adapt as I go through and stitch this. And then I got confused, more confused, because as I was coming down and I'm counting over from this to this and making sure that it matches up, all my points where they're supposed to match up. But there is an extra stitch up here. So I don't know if I missed a stitch lower or what. I'm going to do the next column starting at the bottom and work my way up and see how it matches out. And depending on how that goes, I will fudge or not fudge, as the case is. But I love the colors of this. It is so pretty. So pretty. I'm really attracted to Tracy's patterns. I stitched one of her, do you call them a mandala one? The one with all the squids on it. I gave that to Anna a few years ago because she has an ocean room, and I thought that the squid would fit better in her ocean room than it would in my house that has absolutely nothing with squids in it. Not that Anna's house has squids in it, she has an ocean room. I made a couple of purchases. They came in. A while back, Brandy, the Stitch Me, had a special going to pre-order, and they were some Halloween colors. So I got Mummy, Frankenstein, Spooky, and Boneyard. I love all the colors. I thought Frankenstein should have been more green. That's just my personal opinion, because I don't dye fabric. I also called Acorns and Threads and asked them to send me the autumnal just cross stitch. I looked through this, and there are at least 4 projects in here that I'm very interested in doing. One of them are these little pieces up here on perforated paper, because I seem to be doing a lot on perforated paper lately, even though the fingers hurt. But I don't like the colors in those pieces, but I can adapt them. I thought that it would make a cute little autumnal banner that I could add to my sideboard, because I realized I have a ton of Halloween pieces. I don't have a lot of autumnal pieces, and I think I need more. I think I need to switch from stitching Halloween-y style pieces to stitching autumnal style pieces for a while, because I think I have 2 tubs of Halloween. And my son is coming down this Saturday, so I'm going to have him pull my Halloween stuff out for me. And depending on how I feel, Cheryl offered to come down and help me decorate my house. So I will get in touch with her as I go through this next after session from the infusion on how I feel, and hopefully have her come down and visit with me and get some Halloween up in my house. There's always Halloween up in my house because it's just the way I live. Like I said, that pumpkin canister over there, when I'm done with it, I'm just going to turn it around so you don't see the jack-o'-lantern face. I have a great big cauldron next to my wood stove. Same thing. It's a copper cauldron. On one side it has a jack-o'-lantern face, and after Halloween is over I just turn it around and it's a copper cauldron. Because it's the way I do things. So, looking at my notes, talked about that, that. I'm done. I've shared everything with you that I need to share with you this time. Until I think about it afterwards and realize I could have shared something else. Because that happens. Tomorrow is infusion 11 of 12. The last one is September 30th. Sorry, belching. It's a thing. The last infusion is September 30th. And then there's the 2 weeks after that, week and a half after that I'll still feel punky because of the infusion. But then I can start to heal and work on getting some energy back and being able to do things. And hopefully as time passes, the neuropathy will lessen. But I know that this is going to take time. But I'm almost there, people. And I want to say thank you again to everybody who comes and visits me on my channel, to everyone who has liked, subscribed, especially to the people who leave comments. I go back and I reread those several times when I need that virtual boost that I can get through this. It's not easy. It's not easy. It's really hard to do this next infusion because I know it's the second to the last and I don't want to deal with the after effects. But I have to do it 2 more times and I can do this because you guys have given me the strength and the encouragement, and for that I am eternally grateful. So, there you go. I spent all day yesterday watching The Fellowship of the Ring, The Two Towers, The Return of the King, and I do mean all day. I went to bed at midnight. Don't know why I had to share that, but, hobbitses. Trixie hobbitses. Live long and stitch on, my friends. Bye-bye.